when you log in to your account, you put in your email, your password, and it should take you to this screen, which is your dashboard. And you can always come back to this screen by clicking on dashboard or by clicking on this. Now there's a start here video, which is basically going to, there should be a start here video, there isn't, but we're going to put a video, which is going to be this video when you click on start here. But these are the 5 core sections inside the membership. So I'm just going to go through each of the sections really quickly. The first one is a premium productivity course, and that used to sell for $497 US. Now it's only available inside the membership. And the course has 5 key modules. The first module talks about the Eisenhower Matrix, which was created by Dwight Eisenhower, and then Stephen Covey popularized it, or depending on what language you want to use, you could say he appropriated it. But anyway, the key thing in this module is talks about the importance of focusing on what is important, but not necessarily urgent. So this is what the grid looks like. And we want to avoid getting into this urgent and important crisis situation. So if you use a health analogy, it's like, urgent and important is a heart attack. Regular exercise, not eating crap, that's kind of not urgent but important. There's no urgency to exercising, but it's probably a good idea. And the quadrant 3 activity in the health context would be eating chips and watching a lot of TV. There's a certain sense of immediacy, a certain sense of urgency that goes with the feeling of getting a sugar hit or eating something that's really unhealthy, and that's quite likely to end you for you to end up in quadrant 1. So you want to try and do less of this, more of this, so that you don't end up here. And quadrant 4 is like, I don't know, watching TV and eating chips or something, So basically the idea is the module 1 talks about the importance of focusing on the important but not urgent activities. Module 2 talks about building systems, and systems are a great example of something that is important but not necessarily urgent. Why? Because your systems are like assets. When you build standard operating procedures that your team can follow, it means you can delegate more easily. When you create a system like, say, a good quality automated marketing system using, say, something like HubSpot that serves people in a way that is meaningful to them and helps them progress their journey without you having to be involved in every step of the process, that is another example of a good system. Or even this membership, you could argue, is an example of a good system because it delivers information and knowledge in a way that is leveraged. This video that I'm creating right now is an example of a system that allows me to leverage my time more effectively, because it allows me to effectively do with information what Henry Ford did with cars. I'm productizing my knowledge, my voice, my understanding, my guidance of how to use this membership. And then we talked about the 80-20 rule in module 3, which is basically 20% of your effort delivers 80% of your results. And this was discovered by some Italian economist. And then they started to find this existed in pretty much all phenomena. So 20% of your profit probably comes from, 80% of your profit probably comes from 20% of your customers, and on it goes. And the thing about the 80-20 rule, which I talked to a guy called Perry Marshall about, who wrote 80-20 Sales and Marketing, and has consulted at NASA and stuff, he explained that it is fractal. So 20% of 20% is 4%, and 80% of 80% is 64%. So 4% of your effort delivers 64% of your results. And take that one level further, and you find 0.8% of your effort delivers 51.2% of your results. And it can keep going. So the question, one of the things I work with members in this membership is to help them find that 0.8% that delivers 51.2% of the results, which is basically your quadrant 2 stuff, which is building your systems, which is building your leveraged service delivery and leveraged, something that helps you grow your profit fast, and something that allows you to increase your profit per hour according to the 9-step framework, which we'll talk about at some point later. Then we've got module 4, which is about the Pomodoro technique, and that's basically working in 25-minute increments with 5-minute breaks. And we do that every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Sydney time. And that basically is just a group of us. The idea is we work in silence, but we break every 25 odd minutes. And we do two things at the end of each of those 25-minute sessions. And that is, first thing we do is we give ourselves a rating in terms of our focus level. No one rates anybody else. We just rate ourselves. And we say, I give myself a 3 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of my focus. And the reason we do that is it's a form of mindfulness. If you give yourself a 3, you might observe that, okay, you got distracted because the cat walked in. So the next time in the next sprint, when the cat walks in, you're less likely to succumb to that distraction, because observing negative mental patterns tends to be quite a good way to fortify the likelihood of it being repeated. It's not about pushing down mental patterns. It's kind of sort of like meditation. You don't push your thoughts away. You watch your thoughts and allow them to dissipate. In the same way, you allow your distractions to dissipate while being aware of them and continuing to work in spite of them, and not entertaining them and building them up. And then finally, the module 5 is about mindfulness, and that enables you to be more proactive with your choices in terms of what you focus on, and that the more mindful you are through the day, the more likely you are to stay in quadrant 2, which is basically the proactive stuff, the stuff that isn't urgent but is important, and it takes a certain element of volition, a certain element of deliberation, and a certain element of awareness-driven choice to do the quadrant 2 stuff, the proactive stuff, and say no to the reactive stuff, which is the quadrant 3 stuff, so you don't end up in the quadrant 1. Quadrant 4 is important too, but you want to do that when you're vegging out at night, when you're unwinding. That's when you stick your feet up on the chair and watch TV and eat chips if you've worked out for the day, etc. Okay, so that's basically the course. Next thing we'll do is we'll go back to the dashboard. This is just a really quick one. This is all of our mastermind calls. They've been recorded since the membership began. And if you go into any one of them, so there's 4 pages of this, and if you go into any one of them, you'll see that there are timestamps here. And if you click on any one of these timestamps, it'll take you to that part where we talked about that particular topic. So if you want to learn about communicating with your team, you click on that. It takes you right to the section where we were talking about communicating with our team. Of course, this obviously means that one of the conditions you agree to when you join the membership and you attend mastermind calls is that your calls are recorded and they're stored here in perpetuity. So don't share anything you don't want, that is confidential, but we all benefit from this, and whatever is discussed in the membership is supposed to stay in the membership. And so far, I've never seen anyone not honor that. So all your mastermind calls are recorded. You get access to all of them. Even if you've just joined today, you can go back and you can look through the whole archive of mastermind calls, and you will hear, you can look at any of these topics. You can go back to, I don't know, something that was discussed way back in, 17th of December, 2019. And you'll see some stuff we talked about here, LinkedIn strategy, and you can learn about that topic by just clicking on that particular timestamp. And whoever was on that call at the time, they share their insights. The format for the mastermind calls is basically I invite each person in the group to share what their biggest challenge is at that particular point in time and what they need help with. And then I try and give them some support. And then if they're comfortable throwing it open to the rest of the group, they can do so. Or else, if they prefer not to and they just want to move on, or they don't want input from the rest of the floor, that's fine. They don't have to get input from other people. They just manage to lock myself out. So let me just go back in. So those are the mastermind calls. Then we've got useful resources. This has been a bit of a neglected part of the membership. At the moment, there's just 3 things in here. This one teaches you how to use Pipedrive CRM. This one teaches you how to create email sequences. This one teaches you how to use Hotjar. The idea is we're going to put in sales tools and tech tips and things like that inside this section here. And, the idea is to just basically help people to use tools and technology a bit better. But sometimes we step out of it. Like this is Julie McDonald. If you look at her on the website, she's one of my oldest members. She is an international news anchor. She used to work for the BBC. She now works for Al Jazeera as a freelancer. That's her there. And I've helped her take her business from 0 to 6 figures. She's got a media company called Clan Mac Media, and she and I are working together on launching a podcast for her right now, actually, called the Fierce Minds. It's about neurodiversity. However, her day job is as a news anchor and a media consultant, and basically they produce podcasts for people like Novartis and all these big names, and they do films and stuff like that. So I helped her build that business. Okay, back to our. So that's the useful resources section. Going back to the dashboard now. Then we've got the presentation. So I've been asked to present at various events. So this presentation was done at Digital Marketer in the United States asked me to present because I shared the stage with Ryan Dice or something at some point, and they really liked my presentation on podcasting and how to use podcasting to grow your business. And so this was basically the presentation, and it came with just give me a second. I don't know if basically you can just go and watch that presentation whenever you want. It goes for about 50 minutes or so, and I can't find the slides for it yet, but maybe I'll try and find them and put them in here later. This was more recently. Again, I was asked to present at the same place, Digital Marketers Down Under. This used to be the Australian arm of it. I think they've since gone their separate ways. And this was a post-COVID presentation, and it is all about how to use the 9-step business growth framework to grow your business. And that goes for about 42 minutes. And it does come with, or it should come with, downloadables, and I can't seem to find them just yet, but I'll try and remember to get the team to add that on there. So there are slides and there are exercises and stuff that can be downloaded with these, which I need to remember to get my team to put in there. Next, Next, we have expert interviews, and this is really stuff that is also available on the YouTube channel, but the idea is to offer curation here. So if you want to learn more about productivity, you can, it's the interviews are categorized into sections. So what should make its way on here soon, hopefully, is my conversation with Perry Marshall, and that was about the 80-20 rule. So that's another productivity episode. Business growth, Dean Jackson's 9-word email, Seth Godin. There's a ton of episodes I could put here, but I just put in a handful of really good ones in here. Probably the Neil Patel one, the episode 212, might make its way in here. And then this is about how to get your mindset really, cranking. This was with a guy called Todd Herman, pretty amazing guy. Wrote a book called Alter Ego Effect, which has had a big impact on me, and I recommend checking that out. And then you've got an other section, which is, subscription business models. And this is with a lady called Robbie Baxter, who's consulted with Netflix and Microsoft and, some big wigs. Something I did forget to mention earlier on was, if you go back to the dashboard, in the presentation section, there's a really, in my opinion, useful thing. We had a planning workshop at the start of 2020. And this planning workshop actually has, it goes for about 2 hours. And I think it's worth spending some time on there. But if you don't have a lot of time, you can just check out the slides, which will eventually appear. And there's a workbook that goes with it as well. Now, I'm not going to wait for this thing to download. I have a text expander shortcut. XDM. Oh, sorry. There it is. So, oh no, that's the podcast launch one. Sorry, ignore that. I will have to figure out how to get these slides to work. But the key takeaway from this is, I need to get the team to check this and fix these slides. But the key takeaway from this is, we went through and we looked at what worked well in the previous year, what were the things that we really loved doing, and what were the things we enjoyed, we wanted to do more of, and then we learned from that, and then we mapped that to the to what we want to do in the next year. So we set our goals for the next year, but instead of being goal obsessed, which I think is a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, my recommendation was to map the goals to habits, and then instead of living in the goals, which is permanently postponing your happiness or satisfaction, my recommendation or my invitation was to focus on the activities or the habits, and then track the habits and map those. So that's probably a good workshop, and it's worth checking as well to set you up for success. So that's a quick overview of the membership.